How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Roller 31. Mega, how did today's Xfinity race go for you? And are you excited for some more Darlington Raceway?
Yeah, I think it went expected. I pretty much broke even. Some of the value plays broke down, didn't work out. It was a little too high on Brandon Jones. We should have known better. A lot of even like Hamlin struggled here. He was in most of my lineups. Cindric did better than expected, but like he swiped the wall quite a few times. So Grayson, the ultimate GPP, wins it in the end after, there's just some bad breaks. Timmy Hill stayed out, and he did the same thing that Ryan Sieg did, like what was it, Nashville or whatever, where didn't take tires and the whole field like runs into the back of him, and that kind of ruined a couple people's days that were right behind him. So I don't know. I think we learned a little bit from here. So, we're moving on to Cup. So this is the Cup video. We did talk about having a truck video, but TK and I looked over it, and there's really not much to say for trucks. I think, you're going to play Creed, you're going to play Nemechek, you're going to play Parker Kligerman from the back, and then you're going to try to figure out what value plays work for you, because the way the truck series is set up is the top 8 guys are the guys in the playoffs. They're going to start up there. So they're where they're supposed to be. There's no real like value plays based on last race. So what we'll do for you, I think, is what do you say? If we can get 25 likes for this video, then we'll post our play sheet, kind of like you see here for trucks, on our website. So, check out, if we get 25 likes, check out FSI DFS around probably, let's say 10 a.m. tomorrow. And we will have the sheet posted up there if we can get 25 likes on this video. Does that sound fair?
10 a.m. sounds pretty good. Maybe 11 a.m. Give them an extra hour somewhere in between there. Good stuff, Meg. I think that's a great idea. Definitely we could post that to the website at www.fsidfs.com. You can find that if we can get to that 25 likes threshold. I couldn't agree more about the Xfinity race. The Ryan Ellis kind of had a shitty day, and I was pretty overweight on him. I should have been playing a lot more Mason Massey than I thought I should have been playing. I would have went all in on Massey instead of Ellis. I think I would have had a really, really good day. I did have a Gregson, Reddick, Denny Hamlin combination. I know Cindric kind of was a little bit better than Denny, but from what I was told at the end of the race, I could have been making more good money before Brandon Jones Rex, but I was at a amusement park today. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but my ultimate gut was right on Noah Gragson, and he won. Sieg finished 11th, so I had some good calls. Just didn't have the right combinations in place. But like you said, we learned things going back through this Cup video. I think Megan, it was awesome to have this sheet up. Megan, go ahead and describe us what we're doing here with some of the color coding on the drivers.
Okay, so don't look at the colors as like green is go, yellow is caution, and red is stop. Basically, I just want to color code for you, just as for a visual aid, the drivers that are in the playoffs, the top 16 here. So the ones that are in the red have just made it into the playoffs, and they don't have many playoff points. You have Kyle Larson sitting with 52 playoff points, okay? The next 2 drivers, Blaney and Martin Truex, if you add their scores together, they still don't have enough. They have 24 apiece. So Larson is so far ahead here. So these drivers need to do a lot to try to catch him. But looking at the bottom, Harvick just made it in. He's got 2 points. Reddick has 3 points. Almirola, Michael McDowell, and Christopher Bell only have 5 points. So they are in danger after these 3 races of round 1 to be dropped out of the playoffs, because I believe they drop 4 drivers each session until we're down to the final 4. So I highlighted 5 of them in the same region. Keselowski and Busch, they have 8, so they're a little bit better. I know, we're talking about 52 and 8, but the other drivers that are in green, most of them are in the teens and low 20s. So it's definitely, they can make up some ground. So I just wanted to color them, because when strategy comes into play here, are some of these drivers not going to go out there and try to win the race. If you win the race, you advance. So yes, that happens. But if you don't think you have a shot to win the race, what you want to do is run a clean race these first two and try to get more points than the people around you by getting stage points, by, finishing the race in a good position, not pressing and putting yourself in jeopardy of crashing and wrecking out and maybe having your playoff chances ended. So that's why they're red, because I don't know, are they going to employ some different strategies and be a little bit more conservative here until race 3, where it's just like, okay, anything goes. We gotta, we got some ground to make up. We need to go for this win or nothing, or we're going home.
Yeah, really awesome for you to do that for us. It really is going to be helpful determining this or that, or him or the other guy when it comes to pricing and, maybe is this guy going to, overperform or underperform his price tag. So looking forward to breaking this down. We have the Cookout Southern 500, 367 laps. This is 500-mile race. This is a really long race. This is going to be all dominator points. We're looking for fast laps. We're looking for lead laps. So we're going to have to try to get 2 dominators into our lineups, more so than place differential in a race like this. So we're going to lean on some value that are going to be good on their on their finishing position. So I love these kind of races because I like to ride hot hands, and I like to track form, and some track history for Darlington is key. That really worked out well for me, Xfinity, going with guys that do well at Darlington. I'm going to try to do the same here for Cup. So let's get into that. Starting us off on the poll, Ryan Blaney, back-to-back wins, but this is not his kind of track.
Yeah, and before we even get into Blaney, did you see some of the marketing on this race? It's pretty cool. Do you know what the date is tomorrow?
September
5th. So
yeah.
it's 9-5. Do you know what iconic race car that's not really a NASCAR is number 95?
Okay, not a NASCAR iconic 95. Not ringing a bell. What do we got? Who's this?
Lightning McQueen. For the Disney movie cars.
Oh, are you kidding me?
And some of the paint schemes they're teasing look like they were had Dynaco and Cars themed stuff. So I don't know if they're truly gonna do that, but I thought it was pretty cool that tomorrow's 9-5 and that they were some of these. This is a classic race where they have throwback paint schemes, but I saw some of the other ones might be some of the movie Cars themed ones. So, or at least the commercials might be fun, or the segues. So I just thought that was quite interesting as I was doing some of the research on trying to figure out who our cover should be.
Oh, okay, good.
So anyways, back to Ryan Blaney.
Go ahead.
And as you said, 2 straight wins, but did he really win the races, or did he win the race of attrition?
Yeah.
I think in both of them. Both of the last 2, I think, and kudos to him. He did what he needed to do to be there in the end, to be able to put himself in the position to win. However, I don't think it was necessarily he dominated the races and to win. This is not a good track for him. It's a very tough track. He's okay in this package. We're at the low downforce, high horsepower. And and it's just so funny because we've said it all year long with the Penske cars that Blaney is the guy in the middle, because when we get to Logano, he's the one that's good in this package. Keselowski's good in the opposite package that we saw at Daytona. So I'm out on him. The price is okay, but I really think that Denny Hamlin starting second is the one that's going to get out and lead this race and dominate early.
Yeah. Ryan Blaney did have his best performance in the spring race here at Darlington with an 8th place finish, but the previous 4 races that he's been in, or 5 actually, he had 4 top 20s and 1 DNF. So I'm out on Blaney. Total fade for me. I think he's going to be feeling good after 2 straight wins. He's got enough playoff points to feel safe. I think he's just trying to keep the car clean and finish there somewhere in the top 10 to 15 and call it a day. And like you said, not good on this package. So Out on Blaney, I don't expect him to lead many laps. I think the next guy is going to be a good early lead lap candidate. I don't think he can wire to wire dominate. But if you're trying to win GPPs, you're going to try to get as many laps led into your lineups as possible. And if you think Denny Hamlin is going to finish top 5 today, then I think you can play him. If you think he's going to finish outside that top 6, 7, somewhere in there, then I think you can go a little bit underexposed to him in an MME style of lobby construction, and then in single entry you can totally fade him. So Denny Hamlin, not as dominant as I thought he would be today in Xfinity. You were alluding to some stuff pre-show about hitting the wall a little bit, and he had some pit road struggles. So I'm not feeling as strong as I was today as I was yesterday on Denny. But hey, he's got a win here and 3 top 5s to his name, but not many laps led. So I'm questioning his starting spot and salary.
Yeah, I think he's cashed. And the only reason he's cashed is because he can get out and lead this race early, just looking at the people that are around him, I believe. Larson's back at 6th. So in this track, it looked at Xfinity, it was hard to pass. And you saw at the end of the race, I know you didn't see it, but those who did watch it, Grayson was able to get out 8-9 car lengths, from the restart. Yeah. So I think he'll be the one to be, again, maybe his setup's horrible. Maybe it doesn't work out. Yes, he was leading the race and out of nowhere spun out at the end of a stage. And the pit thing wasn't his fault. His crew was over the wall too soon. So he did nothing wrong there. It wasn't like he was speeding or missed it or took off too early. So that's forgivable. I really like the Gibbs cars here too. We'll talk more about them as we get going, but so that's why I think he's cash, and I don't think there's anybody else in the rest of the top 5 that I would consider cash for an early dominator. I think they're all GPPs or fades. So next up is Kurt Busch.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
you know my stance.
81, and I think he's a fade here because he's a good racer. He's an experienced racer, but just some of the other guys around him in better cars with better speed, I think he could finish in the top 10, but I don't think, and his pricing's fair, but I think he'll lose 7 or 8 points there for place differential being negative. And I know he's in the playoffs. He's one of the ones in the middle of the pack. So I don't think it really makes a move here. Would it surprise me if he finished in the top 5? Absolutely not. But I think more likely range of outcomes is definitely top 15, maybe sniffing the top 10.
I think I'm going to be out on Kurt Busch. He's not really my kind of guy here. He did have an accident in this race in the spring, finishing 35th. Those don't happen all the time, but his track history isn't as glamorous as I would like to see. Only 1 top 5, but he does have 4 top 10s. So maybe you're right with that analysis. I see no lead laps, and
like I say with Harvick, when he races for 40 years, exaggeration, you're going to have top 10s along the way sometimes.
Yeah, well, these were the last 6 races.
Oh,
that was what I'm looking at. Yeah, the last 6 races, he does have 99 laps led as well. But I don't think he's going to be a big surprise tomorrow. And for that reason, I'm out. Next up, we have Chase Elliott at a pretty good price tag, 9,200, starting 4th. But this guy hasn't dominated many races this year. Is he just going to turn it on because we're in the playoffs and start leading laps like crazy?
Possibly. He's got to do it at some point, but he's better on the road courses, like just these regular oval non-super speedway tracks. I mean, Hendrick's cars have the speed, but out of that stable, I like Byron and Larson far more than I like Elliott and Bowman.
Yeah, I would rather play a little bit more Denny Hamlin than I would Chase Elliott. I think Denny's got speed, and I think he has with that early look on this track racing today. And I certainly think he can beat Blaney and Bush, hopefully, to some of them early lead laps. But Chase, maybe GPP, maybe 5% just to cover myself in case Chase Elliott actually shows up. He finished
He's gonna have
7th in
Larson
May.
right behind him.
Yeah, quickly too. Both the next guy, Alex Bowman, if we want to get into him, and Chase Elliott. They're gonna have Kyle Larson barreling down their neck soon. The 48 is only 8,900. Last May he was 17th, and his history kind of says the same. So 14th place, average finish, and only one top 5 with only 2 top 10s. So I'm looking at Bowman as a fade.
Yeah, I think he and Elliott are pretty much the same play here. It's almost priced the same team, same style. It just doesn't fit them. So
yeah, Chase Elliott. What is his recent? Only 3 top 10s. He does have 151 lead laps, but he's just not leading laps like he has in the past. I don't understand it. I don't know if they've been just really lacking on car setups except for road courses. Like maybe they just put all their money and invested into just dominating road courses with how many we had this year, and it kind of shows.
well,
having
he
no
won
mile and a half speed.
These tracks. Like he won 2 low downforce, high horsepower races this year. But then again, I think a couple of his wins were a little bit lucky also. But again, I think among all these Hendricks cars, I think Larson is the one next that we're looking at. But you're gonna have to pay for him.
Yep, and let's talk about that. Kyle Larson is at a really, really huge price tag of 11.5. That is, we're creeping into some territory, some decisions to be made. You cannot fit a lot of these guys with that 11.5, and you almost have to drop straight to the 8K, 7K range right after you pick someone like Kyle Larson. You have to get Kyle Larson and think he's going to dominate this race, and he very well could. If you can squeeze someone like Larson and Hamlin together, or Larson and some unexpected leader of the race that can finish well, I think that's what you kind of want for GPP lineups with Kyle Larson. And obviously I'm going to play him. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you got to play him in cash just with his current form. Like if you look back at the spring race, like he had a very dominant car here. He didn't win the race. And this was one of those Kyle Larson shoots and ladders games where, he kept on getting penalties, but he kept on blowing through the field to try to get back up there until something else happened and send him back, to the candy cane lane again, or wherever you go in Candyland to start over and try to get to the Gumdrop Fairy's house or wherever. It's been too many years, but anyways, but I don't see that happening here. I think he'll have it figured out, and hopefully he'll be able to. He'll probably be the one that gets up there the fastest after.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if they have a competition caution, or like these stages have to be super long. They're probably going to pit somewhere before the end of stage 1, I'd think.
Yeah. So in 3 races, 3 recent races for Kyle Larson here at Darlington, his 3 top 5s and 328 laps led. So clear, obvious play here for Kyle Larson. I think you're right on with it. You have to play him in cash. He's the safer play here. Even with his salary, because I think as it all goes the same way it has gone for Kyle Larson, it's a top 3. And I think the board game reference you were looking for was do not land. If you land on go, do not collect, go straight to jail, or whatever that Monopoly board game references I'm thinking of. Anyway, before we get into our own little world here, Tyler Reddick is next up on the list for Richard Childress Racing. Last guy to make it into the playoffs, sitting at 8K, starting 7th. I mean, I kind of like Tyler Reddick. in on high groove, this horsepower kind of track. I just don't like his starting position.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And there's pros and cons with him. I think the pros are going to be that Austin Dillon didn't make this. So Richard Children Racing is probably taking all of their A team resources and putting all their best crew guys, like pit crew and stuff, on this Reddick team because he's in the playoffs, and then Dillon gets the rest of it, which, it's not a bad hand. It's a good, company. They've got lots of deep resources. But again, like I said earlier, I think he's one that really needs the stage points and stuff. And he's a young driver, but then again, are they going to be able to keep a leash on him because he is aggressive? He does like to run that high thing. He'll definitely get a Darlington stripe, but as Austin Cindric showed us, you can completely run up against the wall for like a half mile, pancake the right side of your car, and if your fenders aren't bent in cutting your tires down, you're perfectly fine to finish second or third in the race. So he's GPP. I'm not completely fading him here.
I agree.
I like the price. I like the potential, but I don't think you give him a cash lineup.
Yeah, I don't mind Reddick. I think as long as he finishes within the top 12, he won't lose me enough points. And I think he can get some fast laps. Maybe he can get some stage laps led or something, that just kind of breaks his way. I see him as a guy that's going to be aggressive in strategy and try to be there with, maybe some older tires that are only a few laps old, trying to be in the front, making a good strategic crew chief call. I could just see Tyler Reddick's name being involved tomorrow. So I'm in last 4 races, 1 top 10, so 3 top 20s, average finish of 13. So let's hope he gets somewhere similar with a little bit of extra points to go onto his name. Next up, we have Eric Almirola starting 8th. 7K, really even cheaper. Stuart Haas. I'm gonna let you go ahead and start now, and I'll finish up with my thoughts on Almirola. I want to hear what you have.
I have a fade with him. He made the playoffs because he won the race in New Hampshire. That's the only reason why. I don't think he can hold this position. I think he's going to be one of the first ones out of the playoffs, unless there's like a couple wrecks or so, and he makes it through attrition. But the pricing is good. But Eric Almirola is somebody that you need to start like 20 to 25th and think that he can maybe get up into the top 10, not start 7th or 8th and hope he can stay in the top 10.
Almirola finishes 37th in the May race. Just pretty bad stuff from him. In 6 of his last recent races, he has an average finish of 16th with only 2 top 10s. Starting 8th is going to be too high for me, even with that 7K price tag. So I think with what you had to say, with some of the little research I have here, I'm going to be out even at that 7K price tag. I think we can find other value to play over Almirola. Next up, we have Kevin Harvick at 9,800. This is a Kevin Harvick track, and Kevin Harvick needs points. Is he going to be aggressive?
It's his package too, so just can they get the setup right?
Rodney has struggled on setups for like 2 years now.
Yeah, so I mean, top 5 possibly, maybe lead some laps wouldn't surprise me, but there's about 3 other guys that I definitely think there's 4 other guys that I would consider dominators here before I'd even look at Kevin Harvick. So that's what troubles me. I have him as GPP. I don't have him as fade like Almirola, because I think there's some potential there with history and the track and the package, but I'm not super optimistic.
Yeah, a 6th place finish in May, but he does have unreal average finish of 3.1 in the last 6 races with 2 wins and 5 top 10s, 211 laps led. Yeah, this is a Kevin Harvick track. I'm gonna have some exposure. 9,800 is not a fun price tag though. So that's gonna be definitely a GPP MME kind of play. I mean, maybe if I want to get cute and try to play Kevin Hart, this is odd, but Noah Gragson just won the Xfinity race starting in the ninth place. So
And
maybe,
he's
maybe it's
better.
Kevin Harvick.
He's better at night races too,
And
with
and
the cooler tracks.
wouldn't it just really throw a wrench into the playoffs if Kevin Harvick decided to just show up and be Kevin Harvick and win the very first playoff event and totally throw the rest of what was probably 7 through 12 into a tizzy and going into the next round.
Yeah, but if you win, it only advances you to the next stage. It doesn't advance you necessarily to the finals. So,
No, for
but it
sure, for sure.
helps, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about trying, the next tier of guys
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
into that round of 12. It would just throw a wrench right into it. So yeah, I'm gonna have some exposure, like I said. Moving on to our next driver here, we have Martin Truex Jr. and starting in the 10th spot here. We got a little bit of place differential for the guy that won the May race, 11K though. So it's either him or Larson. I don't see many lineups having both of these guys.
I don't know. I think that there's a way to have both of them. I'm definitely in on him, and it's not because it's my daughter's favorite driver, and I know that Nadia does watch these videos now because she's commented on a couple of them.
Shout
Hi.
out.
But it definitely, like, he was dominant here, but it was a daytime race. It was hot. He likes the track, slick and loose. Whereas Harvick likes it more like tight with more grip. And his race starts at 6 o'clock at night. So, and it's not super hot across the United States. Well, maybe in the South it is. I don't know. But
it's at least 80.
Yeah. It's been nice and cool up here in the Northeast after we got all that rain. So
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah. But anyways, like, I really like the Gibbs cars here. I really like Truex, and I'm gonna see if I can get he and Larson in the same lineup. I think it is doable, and I'll let you know how I make out.
Truex has some really good history here as well. 3 top 10s. He had the win in May or in the spring. 490 laps led in his last 6 races. Average finish of 10th. I kind of think he finishes top 6 or dominates. You know what I mean? Like and that's why I'm not really in too far for Truex. I think Larson is the lock. You play Larson in cash, but I think if you were to go cheap Truex and GBPs and then I just wish he was 10K instead of 11.
And that's what happened.
Price tag is tough. Price tag's tough.
That's what happened in Xfinity today. Is like, I had to split my cash. Like, even though we talked about not having Cindric in our cash lineup, I'm just like, I gotta have some exposure. So I set up a majority of my cash to have him in the lineup that he wasn't in. But then I did have I did like 75-25, and the Cindric line was better because Brandon Jones was in the other one. So
right. Yeah, I knew that's probably how that was shaken out. All right, so we're in on Truex, probably going to be the alternate pivot to Kyle Larson tomorrow. Next up, we have Joey Logano, 10-1. As you alluded to earlier in the breakdown when we were talking about Blaney, that this is the Logano package, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the Logano package. 10-1 is pretty expensive, but if you were to try to do Larson Logano and save yourself $900 instead of getting Truex, I would totally get it. And I think for that reason, I might be a little bit in with 2 top 5s in those last 6 races with an average finish of 9th. I think you get a little starting position. And last in the spring, Logano finished 13, not too well, but hey, right in line with where we think Logano is going to be, in between 6th and 13th. I don't mind it.
And he's the chosen one from Penske because they took resources off of Brad Keselowski's team and gave them to Logano already. So I think that he definitely finishes top 5 here. So I like the play. I haven't tried to build yet to see if I can get Logano, Truex, and Larson all in the same lineup, but I do think he is an awesome pivot off of one of the 11K guys. So
yeah, he's going to be getting positions from Blaney, Busch, Bowman, Almirola. He's going to get ahead of those kind of guys. So yeah, it's very likely he's going to be a guy that's going to be inside that top 6 marker. Yeah, hopefully that's where we get him, because 10-1, he's going to need those kind of place differential and finishing position points to get there. Next up, we have probably the oddest pricing play of the slate, and that is 11-2 for Kyle Busch at 12th place.
I think they're, trying to price up for like place differential here, but he's GPP. Again, he's always the first guy in my GPP lineup. And the reason being is I cannot see a scenario where he does not hit the wall and cut down a tire at least once in this race.
Yeah, last 6 races, Kyle Busch is 3 top 5s with 5 top 10s, average finish of 8th. So he's going to get up there. He's going to get into this top 10. He's got 127 laps led at this track. And last spring, he was 3rd. So this is a Kyle Busch track. I'm going to keep playing some track history here. I just hate the fact that they priced him up to 11-2.
And the Gibbs cars too. They're good.
Yep, the Gibbs run here really well. It's a bummer, but hey,
we got to break on the next guy.
Yeah, maybe there's 15% Kyle Busch in my 150 tomorrow. But yeah, I like this next guy a lot tomorrow. That is Christopher Bell, starting 13th, 8,700. This is right where I want my second guy in on cash to be. Eric Jones has a lot of good history in this 20 car for Gibbs, and you've been talking Gibbs up as like the team to have tomorrow. Based on just, Christopher Bell, all he's got to do is just race good. The car setup is going to be great. Just race well, and I think he can. Go ahead and tell me your thoughts on Chris Bell.
I love the price. I love the potential. He had a shot at winning this race. He was running 4th or 5th in the spring race until somebody got too close to him and he cut down a tire with less than 10 laps to go, and he ended up finishing. I think he was still in the top 15, but still, that derailed him. But he looked good in that race, and he's really improved throughout the season. So I'm definitely in on him, especially with that pricing. I love the price of 8,700.
Yeah, I think him and Kyle Busch are sort of the similar play. I think they both finish inside the top 10. I don't think either one of them are going to win the race, but they certainly can. And I just rather have, for almost 3,000 less, Christopher Bell. So,
and Bell is in red because he's like one that doesn't have many points, but I don't think
he's going for it.
Right. But I don't think with like his team and the resources he has that he has to do something like McDowell or Harvick or Almirola or Reddick to try to manufacture points. I think that he can just go out there and race and they will naturally come to him.
Yeah, he's gonna have good stage points come end of this race, as long as he doesn't, like you said, get hit by someone like he did in the spring, or maybe hit that wall a little too hard. As long as he keeps the car clean, just races the setup that they gave him, he could finish inside the top 7, and that's exactly what we want with his price tag and starting spot. So we're going to let that be as it is, as a play cash if you got a chance to play him. Next up, we have William Byron in a Hendricks car, 10-7, 14th starting spot. There's some place differential here. Go me and tell me your thoughts about William Byron.
Well, before we left Bell, I was going to ask if I could like send him a post-it note to put on his dash to kind of help him out. Just simply say, if you see yourself close to Ross Chastain, to Anthony Alfredo, or Ricky Stenhouse, move.
Yeah, especially Recchi.
Those are the three that could cut his tire down.
Or Brad Keselowski.
Oh, absolutely. So Byron, the pricing, he's priced for place differential here. 14th, I think, you probably get up into the top 5. But the trouble is with this price tag, he's going to need to lead some laps to pay it off. And I don't think a top 5 is enough for him. So I have him as a GPP. I like him. He could win this race, but I don't think so with just how well other people have been dialed into this track. He's still a younger driver. I think maybe in a couple of years from now, might be talking about him like we talk about Larson and Truex, but I don't think he's quite there yet. So 10-7, I would rather play Christopher Bell, who I think is almost the same play for like 2K less.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're right in the sweet spot with Christopher Bell. Byron is either going to top 5, like you said, what he did in this last spring, or he's going to finish like 16th. I think those are the 2 outcomes you're looking at. So for that boomer bust mentality for William Byron, I think I'm going to be around like 10-15% ownership tomorrow with William Byron instead of, cash play. So just some small GBP numbers for me. Next up, we have Michael McDowell in the starting 15th. 6,400 is really cheap, but this isn't his kind of track.
No, not his style. He's in the playoffs because he won Daytona. That pure and simple. So he's probably going to finish definitely in the top 25. But there's some better value plays with a little bit more place differential that I would like over him. We'll get to him eventually, but Chase Briscoe starting 24th and is $100 less. I would take that over Michael McDowell.
Yeah, McDowell finished this race running and he finished at 27th. So totally going to be out on Michael McDowell tomorrow. I think 6,400 is really nice, but I don't see it. I think he's going backwards. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski. I am not going to play Brad Keselowski.
No way at 10-4. If he was 8,400, I'd have to think about it. But 10-4, not a chance.
Nope. He finished 21st in this spring race. Brad Keselowski, in his last 6 races here, he does have a win in 3 top 5s, 134 laps led, but those were different packages. Those were a different lifetime ago. No thanks. He's got such a bad aura or juju, whatever you want to call it. He's got there's a dark cloud over this 2-car and Brad Keselowski, and he is struggling big time. He looks like he's not even going to have a ride next year with some of the way he's racing, guys, the way that he's causing so much problems on the track. People are just no, get away from this guy before he does something to you. So I'm off of Keselowski. I don't like to play tomorrow. 10-4 is too much.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. We have Bubba Wallace starting 17th, and 6K is pretty dang cheap. Any thoughts on Bubba?
Top 20 car. We like the Gibbs car. It's pretty much an auxiliary Gibbs car. He's been in better form towards the end of this season. So I don't think that this is going to be Bubba Wallace's top win or first win by any means, but definitely finishes in the top 20, top 15 potential. Like the play, more GPP play than cash. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say.
I think if I'm going to have exposure, it's going to be a small amount. It's mainly because of the price tag, that 6K price tag. If he could finish where he starts, that would be the most optimal way. So I don't know, small number on him tomorrow. Next up, we have Ryan Preece, 6,600. Your thoughts?
Starting too far forward. I like him. He's had some really good solid runs, but we play Ryan Preece when he's starting in the 30s and can make his way forward, maybe even the 25th fifth on back, but this is way too high. I don't foresee him staying in the top 20. And I think has propensity to wreck here also. So I'm out.
Yeah. Total fade for me as well. Next up, we have Ryan Newman, 5,700. I think, man, I don't like playing Ryan Newman except for when Ryan Newman is at Ryan Newman tracks. And this is a Ryan Newman track.
Yeah. He's okay in the package. He's good at the track, and he's hard to pass in this track. It's hard to pass. So I don't see him losing a lot of positions. I think he makes it through the racing clean. And I think, if we look at the end of the day and we're like, oh, Ryan Newman finished 13th, not going to surprise me.
And that's what he does at Darlington. In the last 6 races, he has 5 top 20s with an average finish of 16th.
He's 5,700. That's amazing.
5,700. Exactly. And everybody's going to think he's starting way too far forward. They've been getting burned by this guy all year. I'm in. I think this is the right spot for Ryan Newman, and I think he could win you a GPP. Next up, we have Justin Haley in the 77. This is, kind of like a colleague car now. But this is way too far ahead for Haley. I'm out.
Haley really struggled at in the Xfinity race today. So, and that's in a good colleague car. So yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. That car is even better than the one he's in today. Well, we'll be in for the race tomorrow. No thanks. Next up, we have Austin Dillon, 8,300. Little bittersweet. You should have had me in the playoff performance coming up for Austin Dillon. How did he fare today at Xfinity?
Average. I mean, he wasn't great. I don't think he finished in the top 5. So,
yeah.
I'm kind of out because, like I said, I think if they're going to take the resources from this team and they're going to shift them to Reddick. So I just really, what does he have to gain here? Where did he?
I like his starting spot though.
Yeah,
8,300 is just a little.
There's a little bit of place differential there.
Yeah. Well, if he can finish inside the top 15, I think you got it. But that's not going to be.
Austin Dillon finished 29th.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The car didn't break down or anything. He just was not a non-factor pretty much.
Yeah. I could have been in the midst of the slump, but he does, besides that race, have 5 top 20s in his last 6 races here with an average finish of 12th. I don't know. I don't like the price tag at 8,300. I think that's what's really throwing me off.
High.
Yeah. I'd rather play Newman.
Mm-hmm.
I even might, I hate to admit this, I even might want to play Ross Chastain, who is next on there. Or no, next we have Eric Jones.
You can skip him.
I'm not playing him. I think everybody knows I'm done.
GPP, if it fits in your lineup, we're not saying a complete fade here, but
go ahead.
No, I mean you take Bubba Wallace over him in a second for 100 less, or pay the 200 more for Chase Briscoe. But Eric Jones, you can play him, but we're not advising it. So Ross Chastain.
The only thing I had on Eric Jones was, he has really good track history here. I think this is the one rate. Yeah, he has a win here, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. All that was in the 20 car. He has nothing even close to that 20 car with Richard Petty. Let's check out what he did 18th. I think that's like a ceiling for Eric Jones, is 18th finishing position. And I think because he's good on the track, he could do something like that. But all it takes is Petty to fuck up a setup or somebody behind the wall to, not screw a lug nut, and he gets a speeding penalty, or just one instance for him to he has to be perfect to get to 18th. And I'm not for that. So out on Eric Jones. Next up, we have Ross Chastain, 7,500. I like Ross Chastain in tracks like this where you gotta, it's tough to pass. It's tough to run that high line. I think those are his kind of setups. 7,500 is a little steep, but hey, I'd rather play him over Austin Dillon because I think he can finish inside the top 15, maybe top 17. So I don't mind that.
Yeah, he's good in his package. I mean, they ran this package pretty much at Nashville, and he finished second there. So, um, I'm okay with him in that aspect. And the only thing that mildly worries me, I have him as a cash play. His pricing's a little bit higher than I'd like, but like this is the team that got sold, right? That
Yeah. Ganassi is Trackhouse.
Yeah, that Trackhouse is, and I think he still has to ride next year. But like, are they going to start like he's out of the playoffs now? So are they going to start like moving resources around? Are they going to move some of the resources from him team up into like Kurt Busch's team until like Kurt Busch is out? So mildly concerns me there, but I think he's still cash viable.
That's a good thought. With him being out of the playoffs and now Trackhouse and Chip Ganassi, they're taking over for Chip Ganassi. Are they going to move all of the 42 funds to the next gen car? They could be working on setups and, performance testings for the 42 car with the next gen car and be like, hey, Ross, there's not much you can do except for a solid race for the sponsors from here on out. So we're not going to really put much emphasis until Kurt Busch is out of the playoffs or whatever, So that's a good thought to have. 7,500, you can get burned if he doesn't give it his full effort. So I can understand small exposure. Next up, we have Chase Briscoe. 6,300 is a really good price tag, 24th starting position. I could understand the play here. So what are your thoughts?
And I think Stuart Haas is a big enough organization that they're not going to pull everything off of him and Cole Custer to give them to Kevin Harvick and Eric Almirola. I mean, like I just don't see that happening. Like Harvick should have the cream of the crop to begin with, and Almirola, I mean, you could give him like the all-time NASCAR, pit crew, and I don't think it's going to help him either. And I think that Stuart Haas knows that. So, anyways, back to him. Like 63, like the price, like the starting position, like what I've seen with him recently. I think he's a cash play, and I think he fits. He's probably somebody that we're looking for in that range to try to help us with where we're trying to go with trying to get these higher drivers in.
Yeah, that exactly it. That price tag is much more in our wheelhouse than it would be Ross Chastain. So if you wanted to go for Briscoe because of the price tag in his only finish here, he finished 11th. So he has a little bit experience here, which is good to see. Starting 24th, he can get inside that top 18. That's right where we want to see him. Next up, we have Corey LaJoie, 5,500. This is another one of those colleague cars next year. He's going to keep his ride. LaJoie. I don't have much of a thought on Corey LaJoie.
It feels a little too far forward. That's my concern. But the price is decent. So I think he's one, like, if you're playing stars and scrubs and you finish around that range, he's cheaper than Anthony Alfredo. I'd rather have him. He's only 300 more than Cody Ware, and I'd rather have him. We agreed that Ryan Newman is definitely the play, but if you can't get to him, then I think Corey LaJoie would be the next one in line.
Yeah. Okay. You sold me.
You're not going to take Quinn Huff. You're not going to take James Davidson.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to have some spots here for him. He finished 22nd in the spring. So, yeah. All right. Okay, I'll go in on Corey LaJoie. Next up, we have Daniel Suarez, 73. Believe it or not, I don't like Suarez. He's 23rd in the spring race. I don't like him here. In 6 races, and the last 6, a lot of those were in the 95 or 96, whatever he was in, or in a few were in that 19 car for Gibbs. Doesn't have any finish better than 22nd. So, or no, he has one top 20. So I am, for what is his price tag? 7,300. I think he's going to only gain you a couple spots. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
This is not his kind of track.
It's
so,
way too expensive.
Yeah, not his track. Price tag's too high. It's just not worth. You're not going to get value for Daniel Suarez. Maybe if he was set 6,300, you could get some value if you got 4 or 5 spots. But I'm not seeing it with his price tag. Next up, we have Josh Bilicki and BJ McLeod. These guys are living off of their top 10. BJ McLeod's top 10 at Daytona. And wherever the heck Bilicki fell after that race was all said and done. But these two are fades.
Yes, absolutely.
Moving on, we are going to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 6,800. Who's he going to wreck this week?
Hopefully not himself, but probably a chunk of the wall.
Yeah, he's going to be taking out barriers.
Here's my hot take. Is there any grass at this racetrack?
Man, I don't know.
Because I am calling some Ricky Stenhouse yard work.
Yard work for Stenhouse coming up tomorrow. He finished 20th in this spring race. That would probably be your optimal finish for 6,800, starting 29th. That would be a perfect situation if he could finish top 20.
Yeah, I think all three of these guys that are in a row here are like pretty much in the same position. You have good drivers that wrecked at Daytona that have place differential. They're anywhere from 6.8 to 7.7, and I think you can play them all in cash.
Maybe this makes Stenhouse a little bit of a better play than maybe Di Benedetto because of the price tag, but the volatility from Stenhouse tomorrow is much higher. Like the DNF rate is going to be off the charts compared to Di Benedetto, who wrecked at a plate race. That's not uncommon.
But he doesn't for his career. That's why he's 77, because he is going to be a top 15 car. He is fighting for a job.
Right. Yeah, he has a lot of motivation. 19th in the spring, average finish of 18th. He has 4 top 20s in 6 races. A lot of those races were with some not so good cars. Hasn't been in the 21 long. This is his only year. So did he race Wood Brothers last year?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 races, probably has 2 to 3 races of the 21 car. So hey, he's gotten at least a couple of those top 20s with that car. So that's where he's headed. And 30th on the starting spot. Yeah, sign me up. I'm in for Matty D tomorrow. Next up, we have Cole Custer. 6,100. He was a accident waiting to happen last time out, finishing 36th. Could have been some bad luck. I'm not sure what had happened in that race, but I like the price tag here, 7,100. 31st starting position. I think he could be quite popular.
Yeah, I mean, he's cheaper than Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, that's why I'm out on Suarez.
Yeah,
like I rather play Di Benedetto and
we like Chastain at 75, and this guy's got more place differential, and they're almost the same driver. He's just Cole Custer is just a little bit more reserved, I think, than Chastain's really reckless.
There's going to be another guy in this 7K range that we'll talk about, and then I'll give you a quick little rankings of some of the guys that we're talking about here. In on Cole Custer, 7,100. I think that's cash viable. Next up, we have Anthony Alfredo, 5,800 GPP.
Yeah.
Nope. Unclick for me. I'm out on Alfredo. Next up, we have Cody Ware, 52. Your thoughts?
I don't trust this car, Rick Ware.
He's got all the Rick Ware racing cars are going to wreck themselves. This we know. Next up, we have Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher is the guy here, probably the chalk value that people will plug in their lineups thinking, hey, this guy just needs to get inside the top 20 and I am paid. So I couldn't agree more, though. I'm in.
Yep, me too. I think he's one of my prime plays. I think he's going to be one of the third guy in once I figure out which 2 I want up top.
This is what they call free square. you know, finished 19th in the spring race. He's coming off of a couple of bad finishes on tracks that had a lot of wrecks. And hey, that happens in the sport, but this guy is consistent. He has had a actually good, pretty good season. He's fighting for the playoffs for a while until, last couple of weeks kind of ended him. I like Chris Buescher. Let me just see what else he's got here for some track history. 6 races, 3 top 20s, 1 top 10, average finish of 19th. Lock it in, folks. Free square, Chris Buescher tomorrow.
And then we don't need to talk about the last 3 guys.
And the races.
Huff, no.
Yeah. Gase, Davidson, Huff, no. So
that'll
conclude.
Well, we talked earlier about like trying to get like Truex and Larson in alliance. So if I have Truex, Larson, Buescher, and Bell, which are all guys I like, it leaves me 55. So there's definitely some, there's Corey LaJoy, and then like who else? And yeah,
probably Newman, LaJoy.
Newman. No, I don't have enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're gonna force you to play a scrub.
Yes.
So
it'd be like Newman, and yeah, I'm gonna get Rick rolled.
All right. Well, that will conclude this week's breakdown for Darlington, the NASCAR Cup Series at Darlington Raceway. The Cookout Southern 500. Thank you guys for listening in. Please like and comment below. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. You can follow Mega at MegaRuler31. And you can follow our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. In that bio, there is a link to the Discord chat. You can get that. You can click on that link and get projections and core lineups in our Discord chat, or you can also visit our website at FSIDFS.com. Awesome, guys. Great weekend for Darlington. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend for all you workers out there. And thank you for everyone's service. God bless, and have a great race day.